All right, guys, so this is just a summary. I was just going to talk about the three different main uh, energy events, so to speak, or charging stops. And we're going to try to cut this one a little bit short, but just to give you an idea of what's going on, right? Okay, so I have a little challenge I'm trying to plan for. I'm sure I can make it, but I would like to make sure I know I can make it. Sorry, I'm kind of like that. So there's a leg of a journey I'm going to take that's going to be 243 miles, something like that, which should be completely doable with a Model Y long range. But and actually I've tested it, and it could do far more than that. But I would just like to be 100% sure, because I don't know. We'll see. It just makes me nervous a little bit. Anyway, there it is. Let's get going. Okay, so this is a follow-up, and we'll see how it works out, right? By default, I normally run my wheels like this. So this is the normal 19-inch wheel with a little cap and some lug nut caps. It just looks a little sportier, right? That's not the default look. The default look from the factory is like this. This is the Aero wheels. It saves you, or it adds 10, 12 miles to your range, which in retrospect probably made all the difference for me. Okay, I don't know. Normally it's not a big deal, but in some places you just have to extend your range, and this is how you do it. All right, so when I got the Llano, sorry, I keep wanting to throw an accent in there, and this is Texas. We don't say it that way. I don't know, whatever. Don't get mad at me. Just they call Llano. All right, so when we got there, we had gone 70 miles. We had used 18 kilowatt hours, and we averaged 251 watt hours per mile, which is right around 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Like I said, that was nothing earth-shattering to me. I fully expected to be right around there. I mean, I didn't really think about what the numbers would be. I wasn't worried about it. So there that is, for those of you who want that information. So actually, for a lot of this trip, I was right around 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Although there were spots where it was a lot more, or a lot less, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay, there you go. All right, so for the, let's call it second leg. So the first leg was to get to the Llano, and that was not a problem whatsoever, but the margins were way positive, I guess you could say, or there was no real limits, right? So no problems there. I didn't even track it really. My goal was to make it to Llano, charge up, and then make it out to Ozona and back to Junction, basically. Going back, so when I did the computations, I thought I had plenty, and to be fair, I probably did if I limited my speed. But at first I decided not to limit my speed, and that's probably what threw me off. That's my best guess. Okay, so at 70 miles an hour, I should have had 252 miles of range. Okay, so that implies at 60 I have like 290. Okay, what the 169 to Ozona plus the 91 back to Junction would add up to 260. Now, if I had watched my speed, kept it at 60 the whole time, I probably would have been just fine. But that's not what I was doing. Okay, I was at first I was allowing it to go up to 70 whenever it wanted to. The FSD, that is. Okay, so that's my best guess, is I didn't properly start out. Now, when I was on I-10, I was doing 60, 62. And you could see how the percentage was changing. When I actually got to Ozona, it said I could make it back to junction with 0%. Okay, so rather than trying to work on figuring all that out, I just go, okay, I need to sit back, try to do some more computations, and go from there. Okay, so that's where okay, we're going to end this attempt. Okay, but going back and look at the numbers, in theory, if I had held the speed down from the start, I would have made it no problem. According to this, I would have made it with 8 miles to spare. 8 miles, that's like 3%, okay? Something like that, 2 or 3%. Anyway, that was my mistake for not doing that calculation correctly. But that's part of the point of doing the test, is to see how close a margin am I running. And my goal was to not have to be really conservative, right? And that end up biting me. Whatever, c'est la vie. That's why you do tests in areas where you have some predictable fallback. Okay, my predictable fallback was I'm going out to Ozona first, and if I'm going to run low, I'll just stop in Ozona to charge up, and which is what I did. Okay, so that part worked out great. Onward, upward charge. All right, so this is a summary for the segment from Ozona to my house. Okay, so like I said in the video, I just put in my home and it came back and said, oh, you can make it 16%. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Because I wasn't to 100% yet. And it was Ozona to, it's Llano to Ozona. And you're saying I can go even further going home? It's not adding up. All right, so I think it was in Ozona, I had 262 watt hours per mile, which translates to 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. If the assumption is I have 72 kilowatt hours in my battery, that's 0.72 or 70%. That works out to 2.7 miles per percent. All right, so what you do is you say, well, how many kilowatt hours are in a percent, which should be less, right? Because it's 100% and the kilowatt hours are less than that, unless you have one of those cars that has more than 100 kilowatt hours. Okay, so 2.7%. So as I'm driving home, I'm noticing it's right around 3 miles per percent. I wasn't doing exact numbers, it's right around here. And my feeling was that wasn't really possible. I'd come back doing the numbers. Yes, it is possible. Okay, going back and looking at the Ozona charge, we charged to 100% in Ozona, and that showed a range of 295. The total range when the car was new is 330, displayed when it was 100%. So I've lost 35 miles of range, so to speak, which roughly works out to be about 10%. And that's kind of expected, actually. It's not earth-shattering or anything like that. It's kind of normal. But that is making me think maybe I need to go back and redo some range tests just to get a better idea what we have. Okay, so starting Ozona, it said I would have 16% when I got home, and I would arrive home at 9:37. When I stopped at the Lowe's there in Ozona, when it recalculated, it said I would arrive with 23%. I actually arrived with 10%, and it was 10:01. So what is that, 23, 24? I've added 24 minutes. So I was trying very strictly to keep the miles per hour down to 60. Okay, just to make sure. Especially so there was a spot where it dropped to 14, 13, 12, 11. When it got to 11, I was like, there's no way, I have to conserve speed, conserve time. Not conserve time, conserve energy. All right, so the total trip was 238 watt hours, or 238 miles to my house. The energy use was 249 watt hours per mile, which is just over 4 miles per kilowatt hour. We used 60 kilowatt hours to get home, and we had 10%. Unfortunately, I didn't push the button to see how many miles it thought I could do. My best guess at the moment is I had around 7, maybe 8 kilowatt hours left. Okay, so if it was 7, that works out to 6-7 kilowatt hours. Yeah, Bubba. Whatever, peace and harmony. Like I've said before, the reason for doing these tests are so you have some idea what's going to happen. Okay, and there it is. But I was able to cover 238, and by what it shows here, I had roughly another 30 miles that I could go, which puts me at 268 if I'm driving at 60 miles an hour. Okay. All right, so what did we learn from this test? Right, that's the big question. That I can take 100% and go 238 miles comfortably, as long as I kept it at 60 miles an hour. My rough calculations say I could have gone another 30 miles, which would have been 268, which would be more enough to, it would be enough to go to the Four Corners Monument. But I'm not fully comfortable with what's going on. Okay, so first of all, yes, if I go 60 miles an hour, I'm making about 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Okay, cool, awesome. And I can count on roughly 3 miles per 1%. Is that right? That doesn't even sound right either. Okay, maybe I'm off, I don't know. But there was a spot in the trip home where it was like, wait, for every percent I'm getting 3 miles. And going back and doing the math, yes, I'm getting 3 miles, just under 3 miles. It's actually like 2.7, right? To be fair, to be more accurate, but it's there. All right, whatever. It just tells me that I really need another 70 mile per hour range test to level set and reconfirm. All right, so my guess at the moment is my battery's around 67 or 68 kilowatt hours. That's my guess, usable. It used to be 71. All right, so I've lost a little bit. I mean, that's expected, not a huge deal. So it'd be nice to level set at some point. It's been a while since I've done that. And I also haven't level set from zero, right? I mean, when I got in Friday night, I was down to 10%. I mean, I guess I could have run around the neighborhood a little bit, but I was already pretty tired. It was 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, I'm an old man, okay? All right. The other two things I have in my mind is I didn't make sure the tires are up to the appropriate pressure. So that needs to be done. And I've already put the Aero wheels back on. So we'll see how driving around with those on, how the car behaves. Do I get any miles back? And we'll go from there.